Hello, and welcome back to Consordini.com. I'm Justin Leopard, your host and cellist here today. We're talking about wolf tones, what they are, what causes them, what you can do about them, and if a wolf tone eliminator is something that can help. Okay, so first of all, what is a wolf tone? A wolf tone is a wolfing, like wolf, wolf, wolf tone that happens on a particular note on the instrument, the middle F. Either the one here, or more commonly, it'll happen when you're playing the same note here. Now, what happens when a wolf tone happens is it wolfs because it's fighting two different frequency tendencies. If you've watched our video on intonation, you know that there's an overtone series. Every note we hear has the note itself, but also other notes naturally occurring above it. This is just something in nature. Every note has this. And in the case of the note F, two of the first notes that occur in its harmonic sequence, A and C, forming the F major chord, F, A, C, are open strings. So basically, as you're playing, it's trying to resonate with both the A string and the C string. And again, if you watch our intonation video, you know that there is a different tuning that you have to do to get the third in tune from this fourth. So for that third to be in tune, the F has to be pretty sharp. If we find the same F here and play it with the open C string, it's a little sharp. We have to make it flatter. And that's more lush and warm with the C string. So what's happening when we play the F is it, compared to other notes, has to fight these two different tendencies, and the wolfing that you hear is actually the sympathetic resonance being at different intervals with itself. So you're hearing the clash of these other vibrations. Okay, so that's what a wolf tone is. It's something that you found if you've ever been playing and you start playing and suddenly woof, 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 woof. Now, I'm going to teach you a technique in this video that's going to eliminate the wolf tone so well that at this point, I actually had a hard time being able to produce a wolf tone in preparation for this video. Here's me in a concert hall as I was actually trying to film myself getting a wolf tone. So eventually I did realize how I could produce a wolf tone. And in order to explain why I was able to eventually figure that out, I'll first just teach you the technique that you can use to avoid them. So the thing about the note here is that it's gonna sound sour. Now the thing about this note is that we have to take care of this note. So my technical advice is two parts. The first part is be aware of this thing. Anytime you're gonna play the note F, just have that moment where you're like, oh, that's the F, that's the F. If you don't have that, you're not going to be able to adapt what you need for it. So that's actually probably one of the most critical components of this, is knowing going into the F that it has this tendency, if you're playing too wildly, for it to sound right. Now, when we play other notes, we like to change bow speed or bow pressure or contact point sometimes as we're playing to give it a nice round sound. Especially in the C string, we can have this feeling of waving as we go, so we're deeper at the frog than in the middle. Now, when we do the same thing with the F, what happens is it causes too much chaos in terms of where the sympathetic resonance is coming from. So I was able to eventually figure this out by varying my speed wildly. So when I do that, it sounds absolutely horrible, and you get that little boo 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 sound that happens because the note's not able to catch on its own resonance. So the solution is quite straightforward, and the solution is to be quite straightforward with the way that you play. Very, very consistent speed, contact point, which is how close to the fingerboard or the bridge you're playing, bow pressure, all of this stuff. If you play with a very consistent sound, just a very even, consistent sound, you don't get the wolf. Now, the other thing is that the note still sounds bad, to me at least, like, still just sounds bad. So I use a relatively greater amount of vibrato. you only need a little bit more vibrato, but if you're doing a straight tone thing, you might add just the tiniest bit of vibrato. And now it sounds more even. If you're already vibratoing, you might just do slightly faster. And you can be able to tweak the sound from that primary starting base of knowing that you have to really focus in on that note and start by playing it as extremely even as possible. Now this can actually translate and be helpful for playing other notes, you know. It's just good practice, especially because you have to be able to handle the start of the articulation, which I think is going to be the thing that might take the longest to overcome. Just making sure that you can start the note without something that you don't like. Straightforward. Just practice starting the note. I think starting up bow makes a lot of sense because it gives you that sense of focus into the note. If you start down bow, it can be a little harder because you want to relax into it. But okay, that works. Just find the ways, find the spectrum within which you're able to play and not have the wolf tone come out. Now, there's a product for everything, and there's a product that's supposed to help with the wolf tone. And it's something that looks like this. It goes around the G string because, again, that's where these problems are occurring the strongest, and supposedly will eliminate the wolf tone. Now, I was messing around with this the other day, and I was finding that it basically works by muting the sound. And depending on where it's placed, how tightly it's clamped, it can really mute the sound. So to show you what I mean, I'll kind of go two extremes. So I'm gonna just clamp this directly over the winding of the G string. And now my cello is gonna be fairly deadened. Compared to so there's a bit of a compromise there. So I've clamped this on really tight. It's freely moving here, and I've just barely stuck it on there. Perhaps a nice middle ground. And it helps. It really does help. It makes me be able to move the bow faster, and yet maybe it's wolfing just a tiny bit, but certainly not as bad as it was before. So this product is a little bit of a trade-off, and I think there's some value in it. I'll keep messing around with different distances and tightnesses because it really is quite a drastic muting when it's really tight around that string. But it helps with the wolf sound, which I think you're able to accommodate for with a technique that can help you when you're using this product to begin with in the first place. So I think learning the technique is essential, but this product is certainly an interesting variation on a mute, which can help with the wolf by just dampening some of these resonances, because that's what's causing it to happen in the first place. Well, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, kind of combination lesson and review video. We hope you've enjoyed watching all of our videos, and if you have any thoughts about wolf tones or anything related to that, let us know in the comments below. Once again, I'm Justin Leopard with Consordini.com. We'll see you guys next time.